Your time alone doesn't have to feel lonely. From one loner to another, here's how you can turn your loneliness from a burden into an invitation for yourself to enjoy your life more on your own terms. Here's how to make your alone time feel less lonely. There's no better place to start. Do what you like. What are the things that you like doing? What are the things that you enjoy with and without people? It could be anything, really. It could be your hobbies and interests, like if you're into filmmaking or photography, or you're into music and writing, to all the places that you've always wanted to check out, all the places that you've always wanted to go to, but you feel like you need others to be there with you in order to have a reason to go. Or it could even be a new movie that came out that you want to check out, but you feel like you should ask out a date before you have a proper excuse to actually go out. The truth is, we don't need people all the time for all the things that we do. Sure, you can't play a full game of basketball all by yourself, but you can still play music without a band. You see what I mean? Is good company from others nice? Yes, of course, it can be really nice, but it's not something that should become a necessity that we depend on. When are they available? What do they want to do? All these things that are completely outside of you. And even then, you might not even have the company that you're looking for. But what if you found that company in yourself? We often think that good company has to come from others. But have you ever considered that you could be your own good company? Time alone is a chance to reconnect with yourself. You don't have to wait on somebody else's decision. You don't have to ask somebody else if they're into doing that. You know what you want. To be fair, that does come with an assumption though. So here's a question instead. Do you even know what you enjoy? Because if you don't, then I suggest you start there. If it's any comfort, don't worry about it. A lot of people don't have an immediate answer to this. And a lot of those same people have had that conversation with me, and those people and those conversations inspired this exact video. I want you to ask, do you even know? What is it? What do you enjoy? What fulfills you? What's fun for you? What engages you? All these things. And hopefully your answers aren't harmful for you or anybody else. And if that's the case, then great. Engage in those things. Dive back in if you lost touch with them. Because I don't know what the answer is going to be for you, but you will given enough time. So take, 30 minutes out of your day to ask yourself this question. What actually gets you going? What makes you feel engaged? What do you enjoy doing? And it might take more than those 30 minutes to actually arrive at an answer, but at least by starting to ask the question, it's right there in the back of your mind. It's cooking, you know? It's just taking some time, and that's fine. It could take you days, it could take you hours, it could take you weeks. And the things that you're doing, you end up assessing, oh, as I'm doing this, am I actually having fun? Is this amongst the list of things that I like? You never know until you ask, and you never know until you try. See, the challenge is removing that factor of others being there, that social aspect, and instead just replacing it with the enjoyment that comes from within. That's the kind of joy that doesn't hinge on anybody else but yourself, which means that it's up to you to give it to yourself, but that also means that it's not up to anybody to take it away from you. Change it up. Why don't you? Try something new. Try something that interests you. And if nothing seems interesting, then do the thing that scares you. One way or another, change things up. No need to dive in head first without looking or without caution. No, you don't have to go all in, but at least try something. Just switch things up a little. Something somewhere new. If you need an example, I am doing this. A lot of people have asked me to make a video of me talking to the camera, but do it outside instead of just in my own studio space where everything's perfectly conditioned with lighting and everything. What if I take myself out of that environment? I've never really done that before because I've always linked it to vlogs, and vlogs really aren't my thing. So I thought, okay, maybe what if I try to add a twist to it? What if each frame I put in the effort to make it look as cinematic as I can help it, and then combine that with a talking head? So it's a cinematic looking clip, but I'm looking at you and I'm talking. What does that feel like? What does that look like? Will I enjoy it? And so far, so good. I am having a lot of fun here if that doesn't show. So here's my question for you. What's something you've always wanted to do? It's probably a bunch. Just pick one. Do what you're good at. Usually there's an intersect between what you're good at and what you like to do. Either you're good at something, so you like doing it, or you like doing something and you got good at it. Even when there's nobody to do it with you, or nobody else to watch you be good at a thing, being good at something feels good. Remind yourself of what you're capable of and give yourself that boost. And engage in those things that you're already proficient at, that you enjoy. Do the good thing. Apart from just doing what you're good at, do the things that are also good for you. AKA, take care of yourself. Even when there's nobody else to do it for you, nobody else to make you feel cared for, you still got yourself. So, give that care to yourself and take a self-care day. Take a nice long bath. Prepare yourself a meal that's good for your body. Do your exercise, read a page off a book, or start that passion project. Because when you do the things that are good for you, more often than not, you also end up feeling good. So, do the good thing. Something I'm still practicing and trying to be better at. Something I want to impart with you. Don't dwell and don't overthink. Rich coming from me. But I want to share with you something about the way that I am. I wasn't always a loner, not by choice anyway. I had to learn it the hard way. I didn't really have a choice because I grew up a pretty lonely kid. Not for lack of want or not for lack of trying. I always wanted to connect with people, and I still do. But for some reason, it just didn't click. It just didn't work. I wasn't the other kid's cup of tea. So I had to figure out what else to do with my time. I didn't go out and play with other kids. I had one childhood friend who's still one of my closest friends to this day. His name's Oliver. He's great. And the gift that I was given was the gift of a very loving and a very supportive family. So when I found myself curious, because I was bored, because I was lonely, I told them. I expressed my interest in these things. I showed my curiosity, and 9 times out of 10, they were supportive and let me go ahead and check it out. Go ahead and try it out. And allowed me to grow in that way. What I couldn't do socially, what I couldn't do with others, I replaced with things that I could do with myself, by myself, at home. That was enough. Eventually, I learned how much of a treasure it really is to spend time by yourself, how much you can grow by embracing you, by not being scared to spend time with yourself, by embracing that silence that is left when nobody else is there to fill that with noise. The kind of silence that allows you to actually hear your own voice. But that doesn't mean that that sense of loneliness never gets to me anymore. Because sometimes it still does. Whenever it does, it hits and it sucks. This is a reminder to you, as much as it is to me, to not dwell on it. Don't let it last for much longer than it has to. Allow yourself to feel that feeling. Don't deny yourself of your feelings, or else it festers within and gets even worse. But don't let things bother you too much. And in that same note, don't overthink it. Which again is rich for me to say, because I am the biggest overthinker that I know. This just happened to me today, so this is really important for me to tell you. The first hour of the day I come up with something that I want to do, but I toss and turn for the next 3 or 5 about what I really want and this and that and what time should I go. And by the time that I decide, I usually, honestly, loop back to the first 3 things that I came up with within the moment that I woke up that day. Don't overthink what you want too much, because deep down, you actually know. Trust that instinct. Don't overthink the potential of what you can do to the point where you don't do anything. Make that call. And whatever comes, learn to deal with it. Comparison sucks and nobody's life is perfect. Social media gives and takes. It can be as fun as it can be depressing. A lot of people only post their highlights. Their lives aren't always like that. And even worse, a lot of people manipulate reality to look better online. For all you know, somebody could be pretending like they're partying on a yacht when really they stepped there for 5 seconds, took a video, and then stepped out. Or somebody could be pretending like they're in a forest full of trees when in reality, I'm literally at a park and the only thing that has leaves is the thing that I'm standing on. Every other tree here is dead. Okay? So if there's anything that you're gonna take away from this point, it's the fact that anybody can fake anything at any time. And not everybody's gonna be honest and like show you that it actually looks like this in real life. Like, look, there's nothing else around me except for this one thing. But a lot of the times, you're never gonna see that. You're never gonna know that. All you're gonna see is the filtered, refined version of what life looks like. Even I know I could have this effect on others. I like things to look pretty, so I take good shots of my life and everything that I do and everywhere that I go. That includes even when I'm just at home. But at the end of the day, I do my best to post life as is. If I'm having a good time, people know and it shows. And if I'm not doing great, I don't hide it either. But I'm aware that I also can't give full context about my life through the little posts that I put up online. And that can lead to people thinking that I have a perfect life when I don't. So at the end of the day, I do my best to keep it real, but I know where I fall short. Maybe you do your best to keep it real online too, which leads you to assume that everybody else must be doing that too. But the reality is, they don't. So at the end of the day, don't even compare. Comparison's a thief of joy. Don't rob yourself of your joy. Don't be ashamed. Seriously, I mean, don't be ashamed of liking the things you like and loving the things that you love, even when it feels ridiculous, especially when it feels ridiculous. Like, you don't think that... You don't think that I feel a bit insane for being here in the middle of downtown, walking down the street, looking straight at a camera that's meters away from me, talking like there's another person? Also, to add to that, do you know how many takes I've done walking back and forth trying to get this right? Like, for loving the things that you love, you're probably gonna look insane. And a lot of people are probably gonna have something to say. They're gonna be like, hey, that's a bit narcissistic of you to be filming yourself all the time. Or what an unrealistic dream that you wanna make it online. How cute. There will always be people that will have something to say. And it's one thing for people to have their criticisms, and it's another for people to be bringing you down. Don't let others bring you down. Look, there's gonna be a bunch of people that are gonna call you cringe for the things that you like. You could be really into collecting toys. You could be really into like a franchise from the 80s, like Transformers, Peep Optimus Prime right there in the corner. But seriously, you could be into some things that people would find childish. Made this design and this mask from scratch, and made a second one, then made a suit of armor to match it. And I am so proud of making this and doing that. But there are people out there that would be like, oh, that's a bit cringe. You're playing dress up as a 20-something-year-old guy. Like, what? You know? Maybe they have a point. Maybe you could improve in some areas so that the thing that you like becomes less cringe. And I'm not exempt from making fun of people too. Like, I have a sense of humor, guys. Crazy. But what I'm trying to say is don't let it bother you too much. People will hate on you anyway, regardless of what you do and who you are, so they might as well hate you for doing what you like, right? Don't be ashamed. This is your reminder to look within. What do you care about? What do you want? What makes you feel good things? What fulfills you? What entertains you? What excites you? What intrigues you? When push comes to shove and there is nobody else there to dictate you on what you should want or influence you on how you should think, or nobody for you to worry about, what's left? Just you. Ultimately, the question comes down to, how would you want to spend your time when it's time all on your own? Your alone time is your time for yourself, nobody else. So look within. Literally the point of this frame right here is just take a look at yourself. Ask yourself, what do I really care about? If it's not harming anybody, and if it does you good, I don't see a reason for you to hold yourself back. Yeah, sure, some people might be like, oh, that's a bit cringe. Some people might be like, well, that's not my cup of tea. Guess what? They're not you. And at the end of the day, and this is going to sound morbid for some, but at the end of the day, you're the one living your life and you're the one that's gonna die in your body. So if you don't feed your soul, your body, your mind, you're living for everybody else. They're not you. And they're not the ones that are going to live your last moments. They're not the ones that are gonna feel that. They're not the ones that are gonna think that. All these things, maybe you haven't had enough of a chance to ask yourself recently. Maybe you haven't had the opportunity or the encouragement to pause. So take this as one. This is going to feel unusual. Enjoying your time alone will take some time and some getting used to. Especially if all your life you've been conditioned to think that you need others to feel happy. Slow down, enjoy the little things, and practice gratefulness. Take pleasure in the small things, like a warm cup of tea, or enjoying your book, or watching your favorite show. Pay attention to all the little things that go right, because we so often make the mistake and have the habit of paying attention to all the things that have gone wrong. Regardless of if it's a big thing or a small thing that's gone wrong, we have that kind of emphasis on the negative. So why not even it out and give the positive just as much power? What if every time one little thing went right, we paid attention to it and we were grateful for it? We gave it the same spotlight that we would give some equally little negative thing. When was the last time that you just took a second to take a breath and, I don't know, look up at the trees, or look up at the sky and appreciate its beauty? Just literally anything nature related, and just taking a breather. And been thankful for the little things in your life. The last question I want to ask you is, when was the last time you appreciated yourself? It's one thing to learn how to love all these things in your life. Whether it is the stuff that you do on your own, or the places that you go to on your own, or the things that you share with others. It's one thing to love all that. It's another to love you. All these things about enjoying your own time. If you don't have an appreciation for yourself, if you don't embrace yourself, if you don't feel happy with who you are, at least to a decent amount, none of the things you do with people or without people will ever be enough. And you can do all these things in your life to make it as enjoyable as possible. Go to all the interesting places, get all the stuff that you want, do all the things that you've always dreamt of. But if the person that you're doing that with, your vessel, you, if you're not happy with yourself, then it's never going to be enough. Doesn't matter whether you do it alone, doesn't matter how many friends you do it with or that you gain in life. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, it's going to be with you. It's so easy. It's so easy to look in the mirror and say all the negative things that you can say to yourself. To look in the mirror and see all the imperfections and nitpick every single one. Instead of saying all the negative things that you tend to, all the things that you nitpick that nobody else is probably paying attention to, this time, think of and name out loud the things you appreciate about yourself. Are you happy with the person that you see in the mirror? And have you told that person all the good things that you know, think, and feel about them? You're the person that you're gonna be stuck with for the rest of your life. It's you in your head. It's your heart beating in your chest. And until that stops, you are with you. Make the most out of it. Not just your circumstances in life, not what you can do, not the stuff you have. That's nice, that's neat. But make the most out of yourself. Appreciate yourself. And if you don't think that you can, then look at the ways that you need to change, that you want to change, and go for it. Use this alone time, instead of just indulging in the things that you enjoy, to do the things that you ought, to improve in the ways that you want. Because if you find yourself difficult to love, maybe that means you don't meet your own standards. That might be the harsh truth that you need to face, instead of running away from it by distracting yourself with people or distracting yourself with activities even on your own. If that's the case, then appreciate what you can, but change what you have to.